example, compare the sentences, I can't wait to cook grandma, and the sentence, I can't wait to cook grandma. The first sentence means that you're going to cook your grandma, and the second sentence is something that you're saying to your grandma. See, punctuation saves lives, guys. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Catalin. Today we have a grammar lesson all about punctuation, something that is very important when you're writing. In today's lesson, we're going to be going over the 14 different punctuation marks that we use in English. And I know a lot of other languages use very similar punctuation, so I'm just going to go very quickly over the ones that I think that we all know how to use. But I'll go into a little bit more detail in the ones that can be more tricky and confusing. So without saying much more, let's just get straight into the lesson. Our first 3 punctuation marks are the easiest, and I'm sure that you guys already know how to use them, so I'll just go over them very quickly. We first have a full stop or a period for ending a sentence, and it's also used for abbreviations like Mr. and Doctor. We also have a question mark for questions and an exclamation point to show strong emotions. These 3 punctuation marks are what we call sentence endings because they always end a sentence. Our next group of similar punctuation marks are a comma, a semicolon, and a colon. A comma is firstly used to separate ideas or elements within a sentence. For example, running is a good hobby. Not only is it good for your health, but it also helps to reduce stress. Commas are also used when we directly address a person in a sentence. For example, compare the sentences, I can't wait to cook grandma, and the sentence, I can't wait to cook grandma. The first sentence means that you're going to cook your grandma, and the second sentence is something that you're saying to your grandma. See, punctuation saves lives, guys. And the last way that we can use a comma is in lists. For example, I like blue, purple, and red. Now let's move on to a semicolon and a colon. I'll talk about these ones for a little bit longer because often they can be confusing and a little bit difficult to use. Let's first take a look at a semicolon. A semicolon is used to connect 2 related independent clauses. If you're not sure what an independent clause is, then go and watch my English clauses video and you'll learn everything that you need to know there. But basically, an independent clause is a clause that is a sentence on its own. So we use a semicolon like this. I can't eat sugary foods. I'm on a diet. A semicolon is a little bit like a mix between a full stop and a comma. We do have 2 separate sentences here, so we could use a full stop, but these 2 sentences are also very closely related. So we kind of want to link them in the way that we would do with a comma. So we just have the best of both worlds with a semicolon. We also use a semicolon when we're making lists and the items have punctuation inside of them. For example, I really want to visit London, England, London, Ontario, Perth, Scotland, and Perth, Australia. Now that would be a very confusing sentence if I only used commas. Now on to colons. Colons are used after an independent clause to explain a little bit more information about that sentence. For example, I like 3 colors, blue, purple, and red. This is different from the sentence, I like blue, purple, and red, because I like colors is an independent clause, but I like is not. It might be easier to think about colons as having the meaning of which are. For example, I like 3 colors, which are blue, purple, and red. Colons are also used to introduce a quote. For example, in the immortal words of Martin Luther King, I have a dream. Next up is dashes and hyphens. 2 very similar looking punctuation marks, but they are used in very different ways. Starting off with dashes, we actually have 2 different types of dashes. There is an M dash and an N dash. An M dash is a little bit longer. It's roughly the length of the letter M, and it's sort of used in the same way that a comma is. It marks a break or a pause in a sentence. An M dash is only used in informal writing, and it's most often used when we're writing dialogue. For example, you know, yesterday, or was it the day before that? Anyway, the other day I saw the cutest dog. Can you see how that M dash kind of copies the way that I pause in my speaking? That's how we use an M dash. An N dash, on the other hand, is roughly the length of the letter N. This dash is used for ranges. It has the meaning of 2. For example, 9 to 5. Now, a hyphen looks a lot like a dash, but a hyphen is used to connect 2 or more words to form a compound term. For example, back to back or well known. Now we're looking at brackets. There are lots of different types of brackets like curved, square, curly, and angled, but probably the only ones that you'll ever use in your writing are curved and square. Curved brackets are one of those punctuation marks that I think most people are quite familiar with. Curved brackets just give you a bit of extra information in a sentence, and they can be replaced with commas without changing the meaning of the sentence. Square brackets, on the other hand, have a special usage. These are used to clarify information in a sentence when it's not explicitly told. For example, that year, square brackets 2017, was the hottest year on record. If I just said that year, you'd have no idea what year I was talking about. So we use square brackets to give you a little bit of extra information to clarify what we're talking about. Okay, and now on to our last few punctuation marks. We have an apostrophe, quotation marks, and ellipses. An apostrophe is used in 2 main ways. The first is to tell you that some letters or a letter has been removed from a word. And the second is to show possession. For example, that's Jack's book. That's with an apostrophe tells us that that's is a contraction of that and is. And we've removed the letter I from is. And Jack's with an apostrophe and an S shows possession. That book belongs to Jack. Next up we have quotation marks, another punctuation that I think most people already know how to use. These just show quotes in our writing, but single quotation marks, these show a quote within a quote. For example, I was talking to Jack the other day, and he asked me, "Have you seen my book?" So I said, "No, I haven't." And our very last punctuation mark is an ellipses, 3 full stops. This punctuation mark is used to indicate that some words have been left out. Most often it's used for quotes. When we don't want to write out the entire quote if it's very long, then we can cut out some words and sentences and replace them with an ellipses. For example, this quote from Barack Obama, this is the shortened quote here. You see I put that ellipses where I've deleted that sentence, and this is the full length quote. This is how you use an ellipses. Whew, and that is finally it. That is all of the English punctuation that you will ever need. Now I have a funny challenge for you. Try down in the comments below, write a comment using all of the punctuation that I mentioned in this video. I will definitely be very impressed if you can, and you might as well give it a shot to just test yourself out. I'll read the comments and give you some feedback as well. But that's all that I've got for you today. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. And also take a look at my Instagram and Facebook because I post a lot of other English learning material there. Have a lovely week, guys. See ya!